All right. So, just gonna film this dude. We're doing a open a little bit bigger for me there, Julio. Good. Okay. Doing this filling on number 19 MOD BL. Has a prior occlusal filling, a few cracks running off the edges, and a little bit of a cavity getting underneath it. So I placed the ring on the back, and that holds the cotton rolls out of the way. It also starts to do the initial flexing of that distal. So that helps us get good contact there. I'm going to use a skinny black diamond, nice and efficient. We're following along where the cavities are at, as well as following the cracks. Switching to the 330 burr now. Little thing there, right? Now there's definitely some staining in there, and so we're going to verify how much of that is just affected dentin, how much of it is infected dentin, and then decide how much we want to remove. I'm guessing there's going to be some residual, so Caries indicator goes everywhere across the tooth separation area. Rinse it off. Got a few areas where we got some softness. I'm gonna switch to the round burr. Go nice and gently in there with a slow speed. And just remove those areas where the green is sticking. The rest of it is stable enough. You do not need to go any further toward the pulp chamber. Alright, we're going to take off the ring and we're going to get the box forms smoothed out. We'll use a skinny flame. Make sure these box forms are nice and smooth. Open up this front box form a little bit, also smooth the tooth in front just a little bit. This way, same thing. Smoothing out the edges of that box form. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is make sure the floss goes through there. Okay. A little bit of some sharp edges on that, not too bad. Okay, now I'm going to run the sand strip through to make sure the adjacent teeth are nice and smooth. The skinny part of the sand strip, or the center part, is the thinnest. And I'm going to use the high, or the more medium grit, and then the fine grit here. Okay, same thing on the other side of that mesial contact. Sure I'm smoothing up the tooth. That way when we build this contact back in, it's going to be nice and smooth on both sides. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get these guys in down there. I can open them up a little bit more as an option, or I can just kind of keep working this guy to make sure he goes in. Okay. Alright, floss. Okay, that one's nice and wide there. Nice and smooth there. Okay. Use a blue bean and a green bean. Just because the box forms are relatively short. Okay, here's our little green bean. The facial part of the box is pretty tight still. That's nice, keeping our contact there. Okay. Past the gingival floor. The little wedge goes in. Doing great, Julio. Okay.
The wedge is still okay for that one?
Yes. The blue wedge is kind of a medium-sized wedge. Rainbow to the back, bit of pressure here, sneaking that in. Good. Doing great, Julio. Okay, now verify that that's past the gingival floor of the box. Okay, I'm going to place our little ring on here, make sure it adapts well to the blue bean. Set it down in there, ball burnisher. Then I'm going to burnish against, make sure it's tight against that back tooth. Okay. Alright, then we're going to total etch. I'm going to do the whole thing. I don't put the cotton rolls back in at this stage because I'm just going to rinse it off and that just gets them all wet. Good rinse. We'll place our micro prime, which is glutaraldehyde. And Hema, I think? I don't know. There's fancy words for all this stuff. Okay. I'm going to put in those cotton rolls again. Help with our isolation, so we shouldn't have much issue now with moisture control at all. Dry that out, just medium dry. Oh, some bonking stuff around. Okay, this is our universal bond. Theoretically, you don't need to etch with it, but I think that's crazy talk. So the bond is stronger when you do a total etch, so that's how we do it. It can save us 30 seconds if you don't want to etch, but that seems like not ideal dentistry, so that's why we do the bond with the etch. And the microprime with the glutaraldehyde will minimize sensitivity issues. Post-op sensitivity is basically non-existent. Okay. 5 seconds on turbo is all we need for that. We're going to use deep, which is designed to go down in the box form. Can be cured up to about 6 millimeters deep, I believe, this version. I think this is a 3M. I don't remember what the name of this one is. Okay, ball burnisher. Okay, I'm going to hold this guy in place while Riley cures it. Go ahead. I'm pushing it against the tooth in the back. Okay. Don't stare at the light.
Can't help it.
Cure again. Do one more cure into that deep. We're going to place regular composite. In this case, we're using E Sigma Quick. I think the E is redundant. I think it's just Sigma Quick. We're not filling the whole thing because of the shrinkage stress we want to avoid, so I'm just packing along this back side. Up and over the edge. Sci-fi. Use the back side of this paddle here to shape that marginal ridge, give it a nice little rounded side to it. Okay, looks good. ring forceps. Okay, now we're gonna slip and slide this guy from the back to the front. Of course, that wants to dance on me here. Taking out the wedge and the back bean to allow that to flex back together. Reset this one down in place. Okay. I'll still do it to the back just for being able to retract the tongue. Okay. Just snuggle him down nice. Add that cotton roll back in here.
You need to edge it in.
No. Ball dome. And ball burnish that bean against that contact.
Deep or straight to regular?
Let's do one more bond in there actually. The bond, as I swab this in here, the bond is gonna, any little bit of moisture. I blew it out, but this will kind of solvent some of that out and make sure that we got bond all over everywhere in that mesial box form. Just gently drying it out. And notice I started in the distal one first. Now I'm working on the mesial one. It's very strategic because in the back there's some heme interproximal. If you start with the heme on the mesial interproximal, then it flows back and gets in your way. So I prefer not that. Okay, ball burnisher. Okay, so I'm going to hold this in place. And then I'm going to tell Riley, go, no.
Yay!
Hurry, Riley.
Run!
That's right. Okay. Double cure that with the turbo 5-second cure. Turbo. And filling the box form here. You can use a sci-fi or the ball burnisher, that's fine. Some kind of plugger, all that works. I'm just filling in this box form, as well as that little grinding divot. Okay, and if I leave it like this, it'll be more cleanup, so I don't leave it just like that. I round back that marginal ridge just a little bit. And you can see it's going to need to come back to about right there anyway. So I'm going to bring that down a bit more. Okay. I didn't do a double cured because I don't need to yet because I'm going to still be doing more. Now as big as this is, I'm going to do that in 2 different sections to minimize the shrinkage stress. Try saying shrinkage stress 5 times fast. And you notice I dip it into the bond and then I'll just solvent off that bond. Dip it into the bond so it doesn't stick to the ball burnisher. Okay, regular. I think there's enough in that one.
Okay.
Okay, just enough. Dip in the bond. And we're just finishing, just kind of burnishing it up to the sides. Now there's excess. I can tell it's a little tall. I can either burnish this away, which I'm going to do, or you can trim it down. The more you can shape before you cure, the less work later. It's a little annoying to try to have to get that out of there, but less work in the occlusal adjusting. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do the final cure. I'm going to take out the ring. I'm going to take out the bean. I am not going to take out the wedge. As soon as I take out the wedge, we're going to get a little bit of heme that's going to want to crawl in there. So I'll do 5 from the facial, still getting the occlusal here. 5 from the lingual, getting the occlusal as well. Quick little break because that gets the tooth a little toasty. Then final 5 seconds on the occlusal. Now, before I take that wedge out, I'm going to do my adjusting. Make sure the cable surface margins are nice and smooth against the tooth. Lining up that line angle, getting that proximal wall smoothed up. Tempting to go to the occlusion at this point. Don't do it, Riley. Don't get to the occlusion at this point. Make sure your proximals are perfect first and then finish with the occlusion. So I'm going to do a little shoe shine up, make sure there's no catches. That one's lovely. Same thing in the back, and these are nice and tight and snug and new floss. This little joker here. Okay. Checking out that back side, no catching evident. Take my little sand strip. This is the skinny sand strip. It goes underneath the contact. Sometimes get it through, and if you can't get it through, that's okay. Just take it through the side gate here. Just tuck them underneath, and the whole reason for this, guys, is that we can smooth that lower the gingival floor of the box form without affecting the contact at all. So I did the coarse and now the smooth. I didn't get floss catching at all, but so this is just to be a little OCD final smoothie business. Okay. Tuck that underneath. Coursey, horsey, and smoothie. I don't know what rhymes with smoothie.
I'm not sure.
And Open for me a little bit there, Julio. Open a little bit bigger. Good. All right, I'm going to visually inspect those first. Okay, I'm checking, looking at the box form. Make sure that those proximal boxes are completely clear. There's a little bit of a stained little guy here. Bubbly. Okay.
Putting clothes on that like a straw.
Alright, then I switch to the fat red diamond. And bite together all the way down and hold. Yep, bite and hold. Good. And open. I do a bite and hold at the first few. Open nice and big. Good. And I just get the big stuff down with the fat red. Bite nice and tight all the way down and open. And great. Bite together and hold and open. A little tug on there to get it to mark. And bite nice and tight. And open. And bite nice and tight. And open. Some strong markings on that too, so just keep adjusting down. And bite nice and tight. And open. And bite nice and tight. Grind side to side and open. Would you open up what the Donoplasty on 1415 says? I have that on the chart. It may not say anything, I'm just curious.
It says open contact between 14 and 15 after crown placement. Equilibrate bite?
Equilibrate bite, got it. Okay. And bite nice and tight. And open. Open really big. Good job.
Putting clothes on that. Good job.
Okay, switch to the egg burr. Okay. And bite together Grind side to side, side to side. Good, and open. Okay, same markings on the adjacent piece, that's all good. Minimal markings on the new filling. Open really big, good job. Still adjusting a little more. And bite nice and tight. Grind side to side and open. Okay, still getting some markings on this inside. We keep adjusting. And bite nice and tight. Grind side to side and open. And open a little bigger. There we go. Doing great. Generally want the markings to be on natural tooth structure only as much as you can. Okay, and bite nice and tight. Grind side to side and open. Open a little bit bigger. Good. Okay. We are there. And a little smoothing of these upper teeth. Now we do a final polish. I do it with this little rubber point. Open a little bit bigger. There we go. Good. Smooth it all down. Now this is where we think we're going to be done and would be wrong. What's the last thing we check, Riley? What? Why are you asking me?
Last thing we should check.
Yep.
We already did the contacts. We already did the occlusion.
Right, but since we just did the occlusion and the occlusion went up close to where the contacts are at, we're
I
going to
got
check.
this a new one.
We're going to check the contact again and
Okay.
verify that the contacts are good, because sometimes that creates a little bit of a sharpness to that marginal ridge
Right.
that we need to adjust again. So I'm going to verify that we can floss this without too much grief. So very nice. And they're tight, smooth. I like it. Okay, so that one is all done.